Component parts of a skirtless setup. This is the new style rear guide I'm going to do now. It basically has a hardened washer in the back that you slide back, and then it should have a slip washer that sits in front of it like that, and then obviously your spring sits on top, and it won't be tight, they'll be like that. And the other end is the top hat. The top hat needs to be a tight fit. This top hat rotates on the piston top hat section, which is there. That goes on there like that and can rotate round like that. Now this rear bearing sits on that shoulder and that shoulder. That shoulder's 2mm, and the shoulder on the top hat's 2mm. That's what holds that bearing in. This front bearing is 6mm wide, and then obviously your seal on the front. These bearings are iGlider, or they might be bronze, or they might be white Delrin, but the white Delrin is going to be phased out. They're either going to be this or bronze on skirtless only. So that's the makeup of a piston. So you'll have your rear guide, your spring, your top hat, which the spring needs to be a tight fit on. It should push on and lock on. That rotates like that. And then obviously this bearing and that bearing, that one sits on a split shoulder and that one sits on the shoulder behind the seal. That pretty much makes up a skirtless piston setup. Now this is the sleeve kit. This is 21mm. So this is one I made today. Honed this today. So inside there, I don't know if you can see, but there's a brass transfer port inside there with one O-ring, a BS 108 O-ring that sits on it, which forms a seal. But also, just get the screwdriver. Also, there's an O-ring just inside there. You can just see it in the light there. That O-ring sits in a groove that's in this end plug. That O-ring seals around the barrel as the barrel comes into the end of there. That O-ring there will seal against it. Now it all depends on the size of the barrels when they've been machined at air arms. Sometimes they seal, sometimes they don't seal so well. It's very hard for me to gauge that size there, but they should seal. The barrels are normally about 11.1mm diameter, and this is smaller, so it should just seal. Anyway, so inside there you see the BS 108 O-ring, and then you see the brass transfer port. That port can come out, by the way. Don't ever send a drill through there to drill them out. There's another hole behind that brass port that's 3.6mm big, and it has a flow enhancement on the inside face of this end plug. You can tease these brass ports out. Excuse me. You can tease these out using a screwdriver or a little drill bit. You can wiggle them forward and get them out. And then if you must modify them, with them being brass, you can drill on a pillar drill or a lathe, or do whatever you need to do if you want to play different port sizes up to 3.6. And then if you go too big, you can just solder that hole up and then re-drill it again, so it's repairable. Anyway, so that makes that up. So in that there, you've now seen the components, although obviously sometimes this is a full compression cylinder and not just a sleeve, but with this one being 21, this is a sleeve kit. So but it's exactly the same on the end of the full comp tubes for 22mm. Same end plug design, same seal, same O-ring around the outside. So that should answer a few questions about how things go together.